Imagine a legal system so committed to preserving slavery that it not only allowed human beings to be owned, it made it virtually impossible to hold slave owners criminally responsible for even brutal acts of violence. That was the reality in State versus Mann. Today we're diving into one of the most disturbing rulings in American legal history, not just because of what it decided, but because of what it refused to even consider, that enslaved people might be deserving of protections from cruelty. In 1829, John Mann rented a young enslaved woman named Lydia. When she tried to escape punishment, he shot and wounded her. He was charged with battery and convicted, but when the case reached the North Carolina Supreme Court, the conviction was overturned. Why? Because the court said that even cruel and unreasonable force was legally permissible if used by someone acting in the place of the slave owner, and if there was an absence of legislation preventing such harm. Justice Thomas Ruffin wrote the opinion, and here's the truly chilling part. Ruffin didn't pretend what he was doing was morally right. In fact, he admitted the ruling was harsh and offensive to his own conscience. He wrote, quote, "The power of the master must be absolute to render the submission of the slave perfect," end quote. He claimed that no court had any choice, that slavery itself demanded total submission, and submission required absolute power, even the power to shoot, beat, and brutalize, so long as no statute expressly prohibited it. By deciding this case the way he did, the court effectively closed the door to criminal accountability for the abuse of enslaved people. Ruffin acknowledged that there were probably many instances of cruelty that, quote, "in the conscience of the law might properly interfere," end quote, but then said the courts had no authority to step in. Why? Because he said that the very nature of slavery required unchecked authority. Allowing courts to question that authority would threaten the master's dominion, and worse, the whole system of slavery itself. Now let's be clear. This decision didn't just uphold slavery. It built a legal firewall around the master's ability to abuse enslaved people. By equating discipline with dominion, and dominion with absolute power, the court legitimized cruelty as a necessary part of the institution of slavery. It effectively told enslavers, so long as there is no specific law against it, you can do whatever you want to maintain the subjugation of your enslaved people. Even worse, Ruffin dismissed comparisons to other domestic relationships, like parent to child or master to apprentice. He said that there was an impassable gulf between those relationships and slavery. Why? Because slavery wasn't about care or growth or duty. It was about profit and control. Ruffin's opinion is infamous for its candid moral reckoning. He wrote, quote, I most freely confess my sense of the harshness of this proposition, but in the actual condition of things, it must be so," end quote. You see, it's clear that he was torn, but instead of using that as a reason to reconsider the justice of the laws concerning slavery, he used it to defend slavery's worst excesses. State versus Mann is now studied as a case where law and morality violently diverged. It's a painful reminder that legal systems can be used to justify oppression, and that even those who claim to be personally disturbed by injustice can still uphold it when the system demands it. This ruling left enslaved people completely vulnerable, not just to ownership, but to violent domination, and left no space for justice, only submission. If we don't study these decisions, and how the law was used to strip human beings of dignity, we risk forgetting how easy it is to legalize injustice. Thank you for watching. If this case moved you, share it, and never forget, what's legal isn't always what's right.